news alert is Fleur Hassan-Nahoum, Israel's Foreign Ministry Special Envoy and former Deputy Mayor of Jerusalem. Fleur, good morning to you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
So I know many times we get right into the crux of the breaking news, but first I want to ask you, how are you? You live in Jerusalem. I'm sure it's scary at this time, to say the least. How are you? What are you feeling right now?
So I'll tell you a little bit about our evening yesterday. We were told that there was an imminent Iranian strike. We thought it was going to take much longer. I'm in the middle of an interview, actually, with an American news channel. And in the middle of that interview, we all got alarms on our phones that there's an imminent attack. I took my kids and my husband, we went down to the shelter. We stayed in the shelter. We were asked to stay in the shelter for about an hour as a barrage of over 180 ballistic missiles were launched on all parts of Israel. I think Jerusalem received about 40 or 50 of them. And it's a very scary thing, because if our Iron Dome defense wasn't so strong, if the technology that we have wasn't so sophisticated, of course, with the help of the American military, then this would be a half-destroyed country, and we'd be probably at the start of a third world war. I don't think any sovereign country would stand and would put up with an attack, so fierce attack from another country. And this is not a declaration of war. This is, in fact, a declaration of war.
Well, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because many eyes and world leaders are on this conflict, and they are saying that we are pretty much on the brink of a full-scale war. If you ask the people there who are actually experiencing the missile strikes, they'll probably say it's already underway. What are you hearing from your constituents in the area? What is the need? Because we know Israeli Defense Forces, they've been very adamant from the very beginning. This is a fight against terroristic organizations, not against the Lebanese people. And then if we look at the conflict with Hamas, not against those in Pakistan.
Well, this is the issue, that what we have here is a civilizational clash between the free world and the Islamic Republic of Iran. And up until now, the Islamic Republic of Iran likes to work through its proxies. They don't want to get their hands dirty. Its major proxy is Hezbollah in Lebanon. Hezbollah, since the 80s, have literally taken over Lebanon. It has destroyed the country of Lebanon, and today is the major funder, supplier, trainer of all the terrorism coming out of Lebanon from Hezbollah, who have taken over the country. In Hamas, who took over the Gaza Strip brutally in 2006, it's the same thing. The Islamic Republic of Iran is funding them, is training them, and it's a second proxy. Their third proxy are the Houthis in Yemen, again, a destroyed country, Yemen, a civil war funded and fueled by Iran, and now they've got their noses into Iraq, where they're taking over, not just in the government, but Shia militias are taking over. So the big picture, if we just zoom out for a second, is the Islamic Republic of Iran controlling its tentacles across the Middle East for one major reason. They want America out. And Israel is seen as America's agent in the Middle East. And that's what's going on. But it's not America and Israel, it's the values that we stand for. They want to bring the world back 500 years. They want Sharia law. They want an Islamist caliphate. And let me tell you who does see the threat loud and clear. And that is the moderate Sunni countries like Saudi Arabia, like the Emirates, like Bahrain, the countries that made peace with Israel, and the countries that want peace with Israel, because they realize that the major threat to the world, not just to Israel, is the Islamic Republic of Iran. And last night, for the second time this year, broke precedent for them when they attacked Israel directly.
Israel being hit from all sides, as you mentioned, Hezbollah, Hamas, the Yemen Houthi rebels. We are hearing that many world leaders are condemning the actions by Hezbollah, but for many out there in Israel, they're saying, well, condemnation is not enough. Where are the actions to support the condemnation of these actions? What would you all like to see happen as people are rallying together to try to support you all during this time of conflict?
Well, the war with Hezbollah started on the 8th of October when they took advantage of a situation where we'd been attacked in the south by Hamas, and they started throwing rockets. We have 70,000 people evacuated from their homes. Israel cannot continue a situation where 70,000 of its people can't live near the border. This is really affecting our territorial sovereignty and integrity. And so what I would say to the world is, what would you do if you'd had 10,000 missiles coming from Lebanon, from your neighboring country to you? What would you do if another country sent over 180 ballistic missiles? What would you do? Let's not have double standards when it comes to Israel. Just because we have the technology to defend ourselves does not mean that this wasn't a declaration of war.
Well, it's truly a pleasure speaking with you bright and early on this Wednesday morning. We just put a shot in of Jerusalem on the screen. I hope you can see it. Seeing your native land, seeing the community where you thrive and where you love to see others thrive, and seeing the haze there in the distance from all of the airstrikes that have happened. What sense of feeling do you get seeing it?
Well, I've been walking around Jerusalem this morning. We have a Jewish New Year tonight. Everybody's busy making preparations for the festival, which will last 3 days. Jerusalem is the most diverse city in the country. 40% of my constituents are Arab Muslims. And for the most part, we live a life of coexistence. We work together, we live together. I'm not saying there are no problems. I'm not saying there's no radicals here. There are, but for the most part, we want to live in peace. That's all we want. That's all we've ever wanted. And it's our enemies that are hell-bent on ensuring or wanting that Israel does not exist. This is not territorial. This is not about this piece of land or that piece of land. This is about the fact, and this is the crux of the conflict, that the reason there's a conflict itself is not because there isn't a Palestinian state. The reason there's a conflict is because there's a Jewish state that the Palestinian leadership and the Islamists do not accept. And we're 76 years on, and they still haven't accepted it. That is the crux of the conflict. The minute they understand that we're not going anywhere, that's the beginning of peace. And unfortunately, for our enemies, we're not there yet.
Fleur, thank you so much again for joining us. Your perspective and expertise on this topic, thoroughly appreciated this Wednesday morning. And of course, praying for your safety as you are working to keep everyone else safe in your region. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
I want to give you another live look at this hour out in Jerusalem.